Hello and welcome to Guitars for Bars. I'm your host, James. On this episode, we're working on the final coat of paint on the Iceman 200. I already had the base coat done. I just finished the back and half of the side. So I wanted to show you what it looks like. It's still wet. I've got to leave it sit here for a while till it sets up good. Then I'm going to hang it up for a couple days. I let the first base coat of color dry hanging up for 4 days. So today is the first coat. Now it's going to have to hang up a few days to dry before I can do the other side, because this paint is on here about twice as thick as when I did the regular coat. I've dabbed it on instead of brushing it. When I do the front here, I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. You can see the reflections in the light, so you can see it's not smooth. It's got that hammered texture. And trying to get it so you can see what happens with the copper. There you go. It looks pretty cool. It puddles out and does that. So all right, so we'll do the front as soon as this gets dry enough. Getting ready to put the last coat of paint on the front of this Iceman, and I was wondering what you guys thought about me putting this iron cross on here. I think it looks pretty cool. It add a little bit more weight to the body because this one tends to be neck heavy, but I'm just not sure. So please leave a comment in the comment section, and I'm going to think about it. So let's get on with the final paint. It's time for the final coat. This might be a bit boring, but I'm going to film me painting this final coat on the top so that you can see how I'm doing it and how it looks as I'm doing it. I've got my bronze, dark bronze paint, and I've got the copper. First, I'm going to start off with getting a little bit of bronze on my brush and just spreading it on a spot to get the brush going. Okay, I'll load the brush up. Now I'm going to start up in this corner, and I'm just going to spread some on all the way out to the edge so that it overlaps where the side paint was. Now, I'm using the 1/4 inch brush again. So now I'm going to put the copper on and just dab it in so that it mixes with the bronze. A little more bronze. I'm leaving the paint kind of thick so it'll do that hammered finish thing real good. You can already see how it's bubbling up, puddling out, whatever you want to call it. You see I got a pretty good gob on the brush. You have to work this copper into the bronze while it's still wet before it sets up. And you want to try to keep working the wet edge of the paint Now this colored base coat, you can see there's areas of gray and areas of copper. I'm going to try to make it more uniform this time so that it all looks the same and it's not as patchy, splotchy, whatever you want to call it. You do have to thin the paint out a little bit once in a while, spread it out, because it'll get too thick and it won't look uniform when it's done. I just keep going back and forth between the bronze and the copper. Put the bronze on first, and then add the copper to it and stipple it in. Now I've got the light hitting it so that I can see the reflection of the light, and that helps me know where the wet paint is and where the paint is that was already on there. So I can keep an eye on where that wet line is and not go over something I've already painted and not miss any spots. So something like this is hard to keep track of where you're at in the paint job. And stippling it in like that lets you get these areas like that with a rounder, almost like a cell kind of look to them. Where if you just brush it on, you're not going to get that kind of effect. And it's okay to brush out the bottom color, the first color I'm putting on, this bronze, because you don't want that too thick because you're going to be doubling it up with the copper. I want to make sure I got some spots where the copper is more prevalent. So I like that, how the copper and the bronze mix around the edges. I know transparent finishes over flame maple and quilted maple and burl are really popular right now. And I know a lot of kit builders will also use spray paint. Most of the spray paint that comes in a can, especially like Krylon, is not very good. And even Rust-Oleum spray paint, it's not very thick when you spray it on, and it tends to get brittle and chips off easy. This stuff is pretty durable, and if you do chip it, it's easy to touch up because, I mean, look at it. All you got to do is dab a little bit on wherever it's chipped, and it'll blend right in with the rest of it. So this is a relatively inexpensive, easy alternative to trying to get a good spray paint finish or a transparent finish. You know, the cans of paint, I usually get these at Ace because they can get whatever colors Rust-Oleum makes, and if you just go to Home Depot, you're kind of stuck with whatever they've got in stock. So I go to Ace and they special order whichever color I want, you know, that Rust-Oleum makes. And it costs about $25 a can. So, but you know, with getting a quart at a time, it goes pretty far. You know, I've barely used any out of this can of copper, and the bronze I've used on several other projects already. So it goes pretty far. My cat furniture will usually eat up an entire can, but I think I can do about 4, maybe even 6 guitars with 1 quart of this stuff. So doing it multicolor like this, 2 colors at a time, in some cases it's going to be 3, you know, a quart's going to last a long time. So I've got this guitar that I'm doing with the copper and the bronze. I've got the LTD V50, which I'm putting the black and bronze on the back, and then the front is going to have the black, the bronze, and also the silver. So I'm going to have 3 colors on the front. So, you know, it won't take very much. So it'll go a long way. So, and then there's one more. I'm going to redo the Mockingbird, because that paint, I used a satin finish Rust-Oleum clear on that, and I don't like it. Okay, right there in that spot, I didn't put the bronze under it because I want a little bit more of the copper look here and there. So I left the bronze out from under it. You can see right there, that looks pretty cool. And it's almost got a floor tile look to it. Now, as thick as this paint is on here, it's going to take it quite some time to cure. So it's going to hang probably about 2 months till it's good and hard before I start messing with it. Otherwise, I'll be putting fingerprints in it and dents and everything else. And I'm in no hurry to get it done. I just want it to look as good as it can look. So right now, today is June 1st. So it's going to hang around and dry at least till the middle of July. And then we'll see where it is. It might not be till like around August 1st that we put it back together. But I've used this stuff enough times on furniture type stuff and the cat furniture to know that it's got to dry a long time. Otherwise, like if I put it on the surface of a table or a seat or a chair, then what will happen is if you set anything on it, it'll leave an impression wherever it was that you set something on it. So it takes about 2 months for it to harden up good enough to where anything that you put on it isn't going to leave a dent or an impression. I'm going to have to move back up here. I got to keep this wet edge. Original idea for this job, this paint job, this guitar, the whole 9 yards, was originally inspired by the Gus G video, The Quest. I know his guitar doesn't look anything like this, but that monster machine in the video is more where the idea for this came from. And probably watched that video 500 times. I really like that one. Also, there is a Powerwolf concert on YouTube that I watch a little bit of, and they have a couple Flying V's that I really like. So I'm going to do one that's going to be kind of inspired, similar to theirs. You just have to see it. It's kind of Gothic cathedral-ish looking, some of the elements of the design. And then color-wise, it's not much different than this. So I'm going to be doing more stuff. The thing about it is, those guitars are three-dimensional. They're not just flat wood that's painted. There's actually, it's actually carved. So, excuse me, I want to do something like that. But I'm not going to carve it. Instead, I'm going to cut the pieces out of some thinner wood and glue it to it, and then paint it. And I'll show you what I mean when I get done with the paint job here, because I got a piece of cat furniture sitting right beside me that I've done the same kind of thing to. Okay, here's the cat furniture. It's upside down because I'm in the process of painting it. But there is a window on the one side. You can see where I've glued on a thin piece of plywood. I like to use subflooring. It's usually hardwood, or the bottoms of drawers from old Chester drawers. Those work pretty good too. And here's the front. You can see how I've got that cut and then glued on. So I would be doing something like that to the front of the guitars. I'm going to do that to the guitar case too. I don't know if you watched that guitar case video, but I'm not going to just paint it. It's going to be three-dimensional. A relief is what you call that. I'm still debating what design I'm going to use on it. I need some comments on that, so if you get a chance, please go to the guitar case build video, watch that, and leave a comment about which one of the designs you'd like to see that I've got put on there as a choice. And if you would like to see a guitar case done in a different fashion, then let me know. I got some more ideas. I think one in the future I'm going to do a Viking motif. That'll be kind of cool. And what I'll probably do, once I started building the case and thinking about it the other night, when I went to bed, I couldn't hardly sleep because I had all these ideas going through my head, is I'm going to make the guitar case, I'm going to build the guitar case to match the guitar. So it'll be, a matching set. It won't just be a plain old black, leather covered, Tolex covered, whatever case. It's going to be custom carved, custom cut, custom painted, whatever, to match the guitar. And that might be something I do in the future as a business for other people. It depends on how good I get at it and how fast I can get them done and how much people are willing to pay. Because right now, I know you guys probably know, guitar cases are outrageous. I got guitars that I bought back in the 2000s even, and they actually gave you the case with the guitar, like Jacksons that weren't like the $1,500 ones. You could get a $400 Jackson and you still get the case with it. My Jackson Warrior, there's a video on that one. That one came with the case. I mean, that wasn't one of the high-end ones. That was like an early JS20 model, and it came with the case. My Epiphone Gothic V came with the case. It was a $699 guitar, and it came with the case. Now, you spend $1,200, and you're lucky if you get a stupid gig bag, one that won't even protect your instrument. It's crazy. I don't know what the heck's going on, but cases now are $200, $250 for a decent one. And if you buy a $1,500 guitar, you still got to spend $200 on a case. That's insane. I mean, like Jackson is sending out on some of them the gig bags, for like the Flying V's, but I mean, they may be pretty protective as far as, the padding and stuff, but they're still a bag. It's not a hard shell. So what happens if you got your gear in the back of your van and you're going down the road and you got to slam your brakes on, when you're heading to a gig, and then your amps or your speakers slide around and hit that? It could bust the guitar in half. So for that kind of money, I would think they'd give you a stupid case because, they're just blow molded plastic. There's not that much to them. And, but they're charging out the what for them. And they're just generic cases. It's crazy. So, I mean, if that's the case, how much would you pay? And this is something you could put in the comment section too. How much would you pay for a custom built wooden case with quality hardware and a kick-ass design that matched your guitar? Put that in the comments so I got an idea. Because I'm thinking, for $250 you get a regular generic case. So I would think for $450 or $500 you could get something pretty cool. And if you really wanted to spend some money, then I could make it really elaborate for like $650, $750, or even $1,000. Depends on what you want. I mean, for $10,000 you could probably have it crusted in gold. Well, I don't know about gold because that stuff's kind of high right now, but you get the idea. You could get a pretty damn decent looking case for that kind of price. And I mean, if you spent $6,000 on a guitar, you're going to want to put it in a solid, dependable case that you're not going to have to worry about getting torn up. I mean, the case might get a little beat up. They usually do. But you don't want the guitar to get tore up. You carry around a $1,500, $1,600 guitar in a gig bag. That's just asking for trouble. That's crazy. I can't believe they even do that. They should be ashamed of themselves. You could crank out a few of those every week. I really think the Viking one would be cool. I don't know how much of a market for that stuff there is here in America. I would think in Europe, with all the power metal bands over there, there'd be a huge market for something like that. Because that's where I see most of these guitars coming from, is the bands from over there that play. Like bands like Accept and Powerwolf and others. I'd like to see the custom painted guitar thing come back. Back in the 80s and the hairband days, everybody had cool guitars. Scott Ian, no, not Scott, the other guy from Anthrax, I can't think of his name. Was it Danny Spitz, something like that? He had that Jackson V with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on it. I always thought that was cool. I do see cool three-dimensional paint jobs and stuff on YouTube. If you're in any of those groups, especially the Guitar Builders group, you'll see some pretty cool stuff that people have done. I saw one the other day that somebody was working on that had a skeleton. It was a flying V. It had a skeleton on this side and a skeleton on this side. And it was looking pretty good. They actually carved it. I don't want to carve it because it cuts down a lot on the weight, and then you're going to run the risk of it being neck heavy. I would rather add on to it myself, just add the pieces on, and then cut them out on a scroll saw and add the pieces on. That way it's not getting you're not losing any of the weight, and you could cut the stuff so it goes around your pickup rings and your hardware and everything, so it won't impede your playing or any of the other stuff. All right, if you've made it this far, please, if you like this kind of video and you want to see more of these kind of paint jobs or any of the other stuff I'm going to be doing, please hit like and subscribe. And if you can, share the video with your friends. Tell people about it. Help me get my subscription count up to 500, and I'll start playing my Marshall amplifier on my videos instead of that crate. Get me to 1,000 and I'll play this Blue Sparkle Jackson through the Marshall amplifier. Okay, we're getting right into this last part. I'm going to really go for some cool texture here and a little bit more of the copper. This should be the last bit of the bronze, and we will finish it off with one more load of copper. Maybe two. Yep, one more. You get this part, It's got to look really good. This is the part that always gets chipped too. A little bit more just for some color. Hit it so the light so I can see what I'm doing. All right, let's see what that does. Oh yeah, I think that's going to do it. All right, there it is. I'll take a good straight down picture of it. Kind of got a spot right there. It's a little thin and dry. This is risky because it's not as wet over here. It's still kind of wet. Okay. Yeah, I think we're good. As I turned it, I could see the way the light's reflecting off of it. I can see any thin spots that need a little bit more. When it's just all dry, it'll all look the same, but I can tell while it's still wet, any dry spots that need to be freshened up a little bit. That looks pretty good. I think we're just going to stop there. I'm going to let this sit here for about 15-20 minutes, because if I try to hang it up now, this crap will run all over the place. We don't want that. Got one more little spot right there. Yeah, so that's got to sit and set up, and then it's going to get hung up, like I said, for about 2 months. And then we'll put it together. Okay, in a couple days, I'm going to do the third coat on the front of the LTD V50 and start scratching in the design. And then we'll let that dry a few days, and then we'll give that the last coat. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. And we'll see you back here for more cool guitars for bars.